So here we are back with our SG now. We've pretty much completely taken off all the paint all over the body. We're down to the bare wood now. It's actually quite a nice looking piece of wood. It's strange to see that it was completely covered in that white paint. So what we're going to do now is we've got all these various screw holes here from where the large pickguard was, and because we'll be using just a smaller standard SG pickguard, well even smaller than standard, because of where the various switch and output jacks and all are everything slightly moved from a standard SG. So what we're going to have to do is fill all these holes before we can start to fine sand the body. So what we're just going to do is, just like we done with the baritone Dan Electro, if you saw that, or if you're watching this first you'll see it happen with the baritone Dan Electro afterwards. We're just using some wood glue and some toothpicks and just pretty much just filling the holes. And after the glue's dried up and we cut them back down flush, we might come back with some wood filler or something like that if there's gaps. If there's particularly large gaps, we might put in another shard of a toothpick or something like that. But otherwise, this is just a case of glue and toothpicks. So we'll go ahead with that now. Okay, so we've just got some wood glue here, and we've got some toothpicks. And it's literally just a case of getting some glue on the end of our toothpick and sticking it in there. Matron. So as well as filling all the other holes, we also have these two holes here which we'll be keeping for what's going to be a roller bridge to replace the tune-o-matic. But these two holes here, which would normally be the stop bar of the tune-o-matic, they're going to need to be filled because we'll be putting a Bigsby tremolo back here. So as you saw, I've just hand turned a plug on the belt sander there. If we had had a lathe or something like that, it would have been a lot simpler. And I think height wise we may have to cut a second one of these, but just to quickly show you, that's going to be same as we've done with the matchsticks, just wood glued in place and any gaps in that filled with wood filler and grain filler and that kind of thing. So again, we'll bring you back when we're going to be flush cutting all the other plugs we've done here, as well as these two rear ones here, and when we go to fine sand and move on from there. So there we have our rear posts filled with two wooden sapele plugs we just made, and we've got all our superfluous screw holes filled as well. So as I said, I'll bring you back once all the glue is dry there and we're ready to cut these off and sand them flush. And just to show you, what we've also done here is we've just cut out a block of sapele, and that's to fill in the gap between the two pickup cavities that were originally here. Because this area is going to be exposed, it will no longer be covered by the large scratch plate, so we just need to fill that gap, and once the glue dries around it, we'll cut it flush, and again with all the other plugs we've been doing, they'll all be sanded flush, and hopefully it should be pretty seamless. Okay, so we've left all our filler to dry overnight on our toothpicks and our areas where we've added our sapele dowels and our sapele block in the centre here. So we're just going to snip all these down, get them as close as we can and see what we need to do. We may need to add some filler, and if so we'll do that straight away. So there's still a few small gaps where we've had their plugs in. So we're just going to come back now with some wood filler and then leave it overnight to dry and come back and do the sanding in that tomorrow. So just a quick shot to show you where the plugs were that I've gone in, where the original stop bar on our Tune-o-matic tailpiece was. So if we can just get some focus here, you can just make out the outline of where they were, and we've wood filled that and it's pretty smooth to the touch. And then after we fine sanded and applied our primer on that should be completely unnoticeable. And then we also have this sapele plug that we put that was in the channel between the two pickup cavities, and again that's pretty smooth to the touch at the moment after just a bit of wood filler. And again, we'll once it's been completely fine sanded, we shouldn't notice any of these holes, and we're just waiting for the rest of that wood filler to dry, and we'll come back then after we've completely fine sanded the body. So we've sanded everything flush on top, and we were just about to do the primer on the top. We've done white primer on the back, and it just occurred to me that we never actually drilled the holes for where the pickups are going to be mounted on these pickup rings. And just as I went to measure up, I realised there's actually nowhere for the screws to drill into. These pockets that were routed so large, because on the original pickguard, that's how the pickups were mounted. They were mounted directly to the pickguard. So there's a large kind of universal route done here. So we don't have any material in any of the corners for the screws to actually bite down into and hold it in place. So what we'll have to do is get some more sapele, and we'll cut out corner blocks to go in here to give the screws something to bite into. And then that'll set us back a bit, as we did with this central block here. When we repaired it, we need to find the right piece and get the right dimensions, and then cut it and then sand it down flat and fill the edges and all that. So that's another job. So I probably won't fill most of it, and I'll just bring you back when we have 8 corners all repaired here. And just noticing this corner here is where all our wires go through on that, so we'll have to fill this section and drill it through again and make sure the wires have access and that a screw won't cut through them or block their passage or anything like that. So probably when I bring you back, click of the fingers, we'll have these corners repaired. Just one more thing we have to do on this SG. There's a hole on the back here from where the original bolt-on neck was. Because we're going to be replacing the plate on the back here with some gold ferrules, we're going to need to fill this hole, and it's just a bit of an awkward size, so we're just going to drill it out and then put a plug into it. So that's a hole enlarged to 10mm, and we'll be able to plug that with some sapele now. And we've just plugged that hole, and what we're going to do now is, while we have the drill press set up, we're going to drill these 4 ferrule holes for the new gold ferrules that we're going to have in here that are going to hold the neck in place. So it's just a 13mm hole, and we're just going down a couple of millimeters. So we'll just go ahead and do that. There's our 4 holes drilled, so they'll take our 4 ferrules. That will take the gold screws, and once it's all painted and all, you won't see this plug, and that will replace the large silver coloured plate that was there that said Epiphone. This will just look a lot more elegant and a lot more refined, hopefully.